All right, y'all, we are live on this beautiful, what day is it? Thursday. On this beautiful Thursday afternoon. God bless everybody. In the name of Jesus, Yeshua, the Messiah. I pray you and your families are blessed in many ways. As Bitcoin is fighting right now, the bears and the bulls are at it over this support resistance flip that we have here at around $92,000. You can see it was resistance all last week, and then a big old rejectioneroni in queso, and then a big old pumperoni in queso, and we are back to try and reclaim this level, heading up to some upper targets at 96K and then potentially $107,000. Of course, after the low we made down here at 80,000, Bitcoin came and bounced right from the Fibonacci golden pocket, which is a local sign of strength. You can see right in the golden pocket, right from the setup that we were prepared for in the Casper Crew VIP Discord on December 1st, 2025 at 9:23 in the morning. And here's the thing, guys. I remember this day very well. This is December 4th. This is the day Bitcoin first hit $100,000. I don't know if you guys remember, but this is the day Bitcoin hit $100,000. The reason I remember this is because it's my sister's birthday. Shout out to my sister. Happy birthday. I tried to text you, but I couldn't find your number, and then I forgot to text you. But I'll text you later, all right? I know you don't watch my channel anyway. I'll just send you this video, you know? But December 4th, I'm pretty sure was the first day we hit 100,000. Am I right or wrong? Let's see here. Let's go back in time. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. All right? Time to play. Am I right or wrong? I guess I'm wrong. Wow, I guess I'm totally wrong. Right? I thought it was December 4th. Where do we hit on December 4th? That wasn't even the high. Nope, it wasn't even the high. That's strange. Well, I'm totally wrong. Anyway, happy birthday to my sister. You know what? Maybe it was on December 4th. Maybe it was just in a different time zone or something. Or maybe it was later that night or something. I don't know, because on December 5th, we definitely hit $100,000 for the first time. All right, I remember being on the 4th, though. Maybe I was staying up all night. I might have been staying up all night live streaming. It probably happened after Daily Open, but it was still on December 4th for me. That's definitely what happened. All right. Unless I'm literally losing my mind, which is possible. I mean, do I look like a guy who's losing his mind anyway? Anyway, this is very serious business, and we do need to shout everybody out in the chat. Make sure to like the dang stream. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Major shout out to Andrew4392. Shout out to Mimi Smaka. Grandpa, do not sell that ETF. Put the mouse down. LOL. Shout out to Flippa Frank. Shout out to Minlag, who says, happy birthday to the Casper sister. What a stupid poll, says Oct55. It is a pretty stupid poll, honestly. That actually is the most retarded poll I think I've ever given. Shout out to Eddie, 2018 SK. Shout out to Small Budget Plant Science. And My Passive Freedom, 214. Shout out to 33 Isam. God bless you. Shout out to Sunshine Girl. Happy birthday to my mom in heaven. Oh, happy birthday to your mom in heaven as well on December 4th. Trading might cause loss of mind. Yes, absolutely. I remember you sitting in a closet and your mom pulled the ETH cable so the stream shut down. Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah. I look like a guy with millions of plan inside my head. I have millions of plans inside my head, guys. Alright, people say it looks normal. Smash up the likes, guys. If we can get 1,000 likes within the first half hour, we will be giving away 1,000 USDT. Happy anniversary of Bitcoin reaching $100,000. As we are currently struggling with $92,000 a year later. Were people expecting this? When we hit 100,000, were people expecting in a year we'd be back down at 92? Not much has really happened. It's pretty crazy to look back at this chart here and realize that we are still in a giant, massive range that we've been in since November 2024. And of course, guys, I do have to give a major shout out to KCEX. Best deal on fees, all right? Link in the pinned comment and description. Got to give a shout out to ZOOMEX, offering all these juicy bonuses. I'm also trading on BLOFIN, and WEEX. All right. Also, guys, if you want to join the Casper Crew VIP Discord, where, if I'm not mistaken, do we still have Black Friday deals going on? We still got Black Friday deals here. This is where we give the setups, like the short from the exact top, baby, and like the long trade setup with the confirmations given on that day early in the morning, where Bitcoin is currently getting a bounce from. You can go to jasoncaspertrading.com, take advantage of some of these juicy Black Friday sales. Now, a few things we need to discuss here. First of all, Jason Casper is not buying Bitcoin on spot until it's under $70,000. All right, Jason Casper's not buying Bitcoin on spot until under 70K. And yeah, you know, like, honestly, this is 100% true. I'm not going to buy Bitcoin on spot unless it's under $70,000. I know this might seem crazy, and maybe it is crazy, guys, but this really is true for me, right? This doesn't mean I'm not going to accumulate Bitcoin through inverse perpetual trading, okay? If we're pumping, it's easy to get Bitcoin through trading inverse perpetual, right? But I'm not going to take the cash that I made selling Bitcoin that I bought on spot in 2022, and I'm not going to put that cash back into Bitcoin until we're under $70,000, okay? So that's currently my plan on this spot. And if we take a look at the fear and greed index here, we can see today is a little bit more fearful than yesterday, all right? Yesterday we were at 28, today we're about 26. If we take a look at what's happening in the news today, December 4th, why is crypto up today? Going forward, close attention should be paid to whether rate expectations are revised further downward and whether capital continues to rotate from Bitcoin into higher beta assets. These factors will determine the risk level and trend slope of the next phase of the market, says Bitcoin analyst. All right. So essentially here, this article is just giving us a basic overview of the market in general right now. So what's going on, all right? Crypto market cap is on the rise. We're up 0.7% on the day. Most of the top coins are in the green. 75% of the top 100 coins are in the green. Bitcoin's up 0.4%, hovering above the key, what used to be resistance, of $92,000. Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. Ethereum up today 4.6% over $3,000. Now, according to the analyst over at Bitfinex, the reason for this bounce is because of seller exhaustion, meaning many of those looking to dump positions have already done so, which means there's really no more downward pressure. It also talks about the heavy deleveraging and capitulation that happened in October has created basically there's nobody else, there's no one else to keep selling, right? Everyone's already out. Everyone's already out. Now, on the flip side of this, we've actually seen some money starting to come into ETFs, including the Ethereum spot ETF, the XRP ETF. And so this is starting to get us a move to the upside right now. Now, when we talk about seller exhaustion, that really just means, yeah, there's no one left to sell. And when we take a look at Market Cipher B on the chart, this is something we have been looking at since we closed that weekly candle back in November, below the previous range at $98,000, saying, look at the weekly oscillator here. You know, even back in that week, it was below the previous level here, all right, which is potentially giving us what's known as a hidden bullish divergence. So long as we hold the low at $74,000, if this green dot prints and confirms on the weekly, that will be a confirmed hidden bullish divergence, which every single time, guys, even in the midst of the most bearish markets, gives us a move to the upside of about 45% at least. Okay, so that means this could be the beginning of a bigger move to the upside right now. And if we start to go down the time frames, for example, the 7-day time frame, which is different than the weekly time frame, it's already printing that hidden bullish divergence. We go to the 4-day time frame, we've just confirmed the hidden bullish divergence on the 4-day time frame. Big bottom, very oversold wave, negative 76 on the oscillator. It is my view that we are going to see bullishness in December during the next few weeks here, based on these very bottomed out indicators. I'm still going to maintain a bearish bias based on Let me break it down for people who might be a little confused. I'm still going to hold to my macro bearish bias based on the 2-month, right? The 2-month market cipher B has told us the top is in. Historically, there are two things to look at: the confirmed red dot on the 2-monthly and the momentum dropping below the 60 line on the 1-monthly. Every single time, that is the top. All right, but every single top, guess what we have? Guess what we have? We print the top signal, and immediately, what do we get? Oh, a 45% pump on Bitcoin, right? So this is what I'm looking at here, that we are potentially right now, because if we go back to here where the top signal on the monthly was confirmed, we go back to the weekly, and what did we get on the weekly? Oh, look, we got a green dot on the weekly, which gave us a big old 45% move to the upside to come and test the support resistance flip that we basically had since February 2021, right? It was support flipped into resistance, flipped into support, and then resistance, and then we get a big drop to the downside. So right now, like, everything's still perfectly on schedule. We have the top signals confirmed. We got a big drop to the downside, a drop bigger than anything we've seen so far this bull run. We have not seen a drop this about 37% to the downside. Right, if we pull it from the top here to the bottom, yeah, 36.5%. We have not seen anything that big this whole uptrend, right? And so when we confirm now this weekly green dot, I think it's going to give us a big push, potentially all the way back up to $112,000, $115,000 Bitcoin. I think we could really have a bullish December here. There's two things we need to be aware of. The first thing is going to be 96,000. That's going to be the first level that we need to reclaim here. All right. That's the high volume node. We could reject from 96 and come lower. If we reclaim 96, we could really get a big push to the upside. All right. So I have to be bearish macro based on our 2-month, our 1-month. But when we come to the weekly, we're scheduled for a relief push back up towards these highs once again. All right. So check out this. XRP's impressive ETF streak continues as total inflows near 900 million. That's almost $1 billion. This is very interesting considering the overall bearishness of the market and the seller exhaustion that we've seen. We're actually starting to see some institutional money or investor money through the exchange traded funds come back in, specifically to altcoins, right? Specifically to altcoins. This is adding to the narrative that we're going to see not only relief for Bitcoin, but potentially some big old pumps for altcoins. All right. Since the launch of XRP's spot ETF in the US, which happened last month, institutional money has kept flowing. Total net inflows across all United States XRP ETFs have reached almost $1 billion. All trading days since November 13 launch have reportedly been net inflows, no red days, and strong consistent demand. On separate recent days in early December, the ETFs pulled in tens of millions in additional investments, showing the streak is continuing beyond the first few weeks into the next month. Now, again, we saw a lot of money also pouring into the Ethereum ETF. Despite the ETF inflow surge, XRP has not responded strongly at the time of this article. So this is very interesting. This is actually a bullish divergence on XRP. All right. And I would even extend that to say, when you're seeing institutional money flow into altcoins and Bitcoin is holding support, printing big signals of relief, this can lead to an environment where we do see altcoins start to pump. And XRP, you know, although we're not seeing necessarily bullish divergences on market cipher B here, depending on how you look at it, you could make the case that this is a hidden bullish divergence, taking it back to October 2024. Hidden bullish divergence on the weekly. We have to also recognize the fact that this is, objectively speaking, a bullish divergence. If money is coming into XRP via the spot ETFs, and yet the price is not moving, well, that is money coming in, price not moving. That is, technically speaking, a bullish divergence, guys. And we are seeing this disgusting looking pattern of liquidity that could be taken. We could easily see XRP come back up to our last support resistance flip at $2.40. That could happen very quickly and easily. That would be from our current place about a 12% move to the upside. And the target after that would be the value area high at around $2.86. Potentially looking at about a 35% move to the upside on XRP from our current price, which would give us in total about a 57% move up from the low that we made in November 17th, the week of November 17th. Now back here, October 10th, I say, you know, we can choose to ignore or disregard this wick if we want to. I think it's good to take both scenarios into account, like let's take the wick into consideration and not. If we don't take the wick into consideration, we've been forming this really squeezable descending channel, which could give us the push back up to take some of these highs, guys. So that is something to keep aware of as money is coming into the XRP ETFs. So the reason why, according to this article at least, that the price is not moving here is because the inflows reflect institutional accumulation, a sign that large investors are staking a long-term claim on XRP, even if short-term price stays muted. The lack of price jump, despite heavy inflows, could indicate that earlier holders or whales are balancing out the new demand, all right? In other words, the broader crypto market weakness is still weighing on sentiment, and so we're not seeing actual XRP old school whales jumping back in to push the price to the upside. Either way, I'd say this is still a bullish divergence on XRP, and if the elements happen in the right order, and we're going to look at some other things, we could see December being a little bit volatile. All right, this is also very interesting right here. This is something we've been following Michael Saylor and strategy for a while now, talking about how they've kind of changed their overall position, switching from the buy only never sell rhetoric to, well, now we might sell under certain conditions, according to the CEO, and watching the MicroStrategy entry price of Bitcoin being $74,000, meaning if the Bitcoin price comes and closes below this level, MicroStrategy will be in the red on their Bitcoin investment, on their Bitcoin holdings will be in the red if we're under this level, which is pretty ridiculous, honestly. It's pretty crazy. I honestly can't believe that MicroStrategy made their average buy price so high. But whatever the case, if they come below this level, and if the price of Bitcoin is worth less, if their total Bitcoin holdings is worth less than the total valuation of the company, essentially, which means their stock is falling and Bitcoin is falling, they are going to be forced to sell Bitcoin. And this article right here, they set a 1.4 billion buffer for Bitcoin bear market risk. This move reflects a shift from its once aggressive accumulation strategy as Bitcoin shows signs of entering its most bearish phase since 2022. Very interesting. So MicroStrategy, historically one of the largest public companies holding Bitcoin, has set aside 1.4 billion cash reserve, which is described as a liquidity buffer meant to help the company whether a prolonged bear market, especially if Bitcoin price remains depressed, happens. This buffer was raised via at-the-market equity sales rather than further buying more Bitcoin. MicroStrategy's pace of acquiring new Bitcoins has dropped sharply in 2025 from monthly purchases of about 134,000 Bitcoin at its 2024 peak down to 9,000 Bitcoin in November 2025, and only a tiny fraction has been added in the most recent period. Now, why does this matter? I think this matters for two reasons. Number one, it shows that MicroStrategy is preparing for risk rather than aggressively accumulating Bitcoin regardless of what the price is doing. They're basically hedging, which is a good idea, honestly. This is a smart move. In the event of a big drop in crypto, this is a smart move for MicroStrategy. And this move does reduce the risk of MicroStrategy having to sell their Bitcoin if the two conditions are met. So this is a good move for MicroStrategy. And overall, I'd say this is probably, how do I say it? Because, you know, if you guys know me, you know that if something happens to MicroStrategy, right, and they're forced to sell Bitcoin, it's going to cause massive fear in the markets and selling. And to me, that's going to be the big buy signal. So I secretly want something crazy to happen with MicroStrategy, or just strategy now, because that to me is going to be the green light to go ahead and buy Bitcoin. All right. But this does reduce the risk of them having to sell, which would cause capitulation of their actual stock in conjunction with Bitcoin. And, you know, it could prevent some kind of strange capitulation from happening, all right? Doesn't totally reduce the risk, though. But this also does show us that the HODL forever narrative that was preached famously by Michael Saylor is being replaced, all right? A more conservative, dual reserve, let's hedge our bets kind of model. Very interesting to see this pivot as we are printing some pretty bearish signs on the chart, all right? I'd say this is a warning sign that one of the biggest Bitcoin bulls in the world is preparing for some serious downside, all right? A little bit of bullish news though. Bitmine adds 150 million in Ether to Treasury in fresh accumulation push. The company now holds over 3% of Ethereum's supply and is targeting a 5% stake. All right, we were looking about Tom Lee a little while ago, the CEO of Bitmine, and essentially he had a different view on this bear market. He doesn't think we're going to head into a traditional bear market. He thinks because the crypto markets have been so heavily institutionalized and we're seeing institutional money kind of come in and we're seeing these ETFs, and because of the fact that we haven't seen a big blow off top like we have historically, he's expecting 2026 not to be a big bear market like usual, but more so just an accumulation phase before actually hitting a new major all-time high in 2026. All right, so his view on this market cycle is that it is very different. The 4-year cycle is no more. He's basing this off, you know, institutional money coming in, the fact that we hit a new all-time high after before the halving, the fact that we haven't seen euphoria and big blow-off tops. We haven't seen those big pumps. We haven't seen the signals that usually happen before the big bear market. That leads him to think this time is different, and we're going to see a new all-time high in 2026. All right, looking to hold up to 5% of the Ethereum supply. This is overall bullish on Ethereum, guys. I mean, this guy is no idiot. And Ethereum, objectively speaking, is a very bullish asset. You know, like I've been saying, and we are going to take a look at Ethereum here, but Ethereum, guys, like when we zoom out, when in doubt, zoom out. Has ETH seen the meteoric gains that we have been hoping for this cycle? No. But the one thing that we can say about ETH is that in general, ETH has been very much so trading in a sideways range. And bullish assets trading sideways is very healthy, and it's very bullish in the long term, right? It's very bullish in the long term. Now, speaking of ETH, I do think that we could very well see some serious ETH gains happening, well, in December. And the reason why is this. First of all, Bitcoin needs to hold support, right? Bitcoin must hold support where it is at $80,000. Bitcoin needs to hold 92. If Bitcoin can hold 92, and we're seeing money come into the market via ETFs, even spot buying, this right here is what's known as an inverted head and shoulder, all right? And we are currently bouncing from the Fibonacci golden pocket. And if we break out of this head and shoulders pattern, our target is going to be something like this, all right? This could happen in December, man. I'm not saying it's going to, but our target would be around an $8,000 ETH, which is a major Fibonacci target. Now, I'm not saying this is guaranteed to happen here. I would not be surprised, though, if we see ETH come up and hit a new all-time high at around $5,500, giving us about a 78% gain from our current price. And the reason why I say this is because we are seeing some bullish divergence via the ETFs, money coming into the market. We're seeing sellers exhausted. There's really no more selling pressure. We're seeing macro signals on the weekly, the 3-day, the 2-day, the 1-day, showing us that we're ready for some relief on Bitcoin. And so if Bitcoin's going to stay in its range, okay? If Bitcoin's going to stay in this range right here, let's call this the range. I'm going to call it 107, between 107 and 74,000, right? If Bitcoin's going to stay in this range, right? Maybe come up to this area. And we are seeing money coming back into the market where sellers are exhausted. This is called relief. This is called a retracement and a downtrend. We could very easily see Ethereum give us something more than what Bitcoin is going to give, because if we take a look at this Bitcoin chart, I'm sorry, this ETH chart here, right? We take a look at the ETH chart, and what do we see? We see literally the most squeezable scenario here, which is this. We have formed this disgusting looking series of lower highs, okay, on the way down, which means bears have their stop losses trailed above these highs, right? Right now, I'd say max pain for a lot of people, especially in altcoins, is to the upside, right? October 10th destroyed a lot of people, got people sidelined, and a lot of people are out. A lot of people have sold on the way down, okay? Now look what's happening here, all right? We are seeing ETH bounce from the golden pocket, and we've made a higher high. We've actually confirmed a daily candle, changing market structure here for really the first time in this whole entire way down. That's not true. We did make a higher high. No. Yeah, for the first time this whole way down, guys, we have seen something. This is a big change here. This whole way down, we have not seen a daily candle make a higher high until yesterday's candle close. This means that this could be setting us up for a very squeezable event to see ETH come up to at least $4,000. If we can flip 4,000 into support, that opens the door for new all-time highs. The reason why 4,000 is so important is because look, this has been a support resistance flip going all the way back to 2021. All right, so we flipped 4,000 again, that we could easily squeeze the rest of this. All right, and let's not forget also, as we look at how ETH is performing compared to Bitcoin, let's not forget the bullishness of the ETH Bitcoin chart as well. Okay, the ETH Bitcoin chart looking like it's even trying to break out of this local consolidation, but we go to the 2-week time frame here. This is the ETH Bitcoin chart in 2 weeks, guys. Let's put it on log scale to easier to see. Look what's happened. We have seen since April, Ethereum very much so outperform Bitcoin. The ETH Bitcoin pair has a very similar squeezable price action as the ETH USD pair here, right? We are seeing this disgusting series of lower highs, just asking to get short squeeze, and we've got a big move above the high volume node and a back test. All right, and look at the weekly time frame here. We have ourselves a weekly trigger wave about to print after we printed a triple drive here of bullish divergence. So this is actually a double drive of bullish divergence, not triple, but we have 3 bottoms there. This could set us up for something nice in December. All right, now remember, Bitcoin does not have to hit new all-time highs to see altcoins pump. And historically speaking, we have seen those pumps happen on altcoins after Bitcoin hits the all-time high. All right, so this is some good news for altcoins in the short term. But in my opinion here, and I could be wrong, right? It's not financial advice. In my opinion, the beginning of 2026 is going to be pretty bearish. I expect 2026 to be bearish until around the fall. That's what I expect. Could be wrong. All right. But right now, we're looking like within December, we do have some potential relief for Bitcoin, plus some potential big old pumps on these altcoins. All right, it is quite interesting. And if we take a look here, speaking of ETH versus Bitcoin, let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance, like we have been watching here, is in fact breaking down from 2 channels, right? We have this big ascending channel from the breakout in May 2023. We broke down, we back test on October 10th. That big wick to the upside. Isn't it though? Here is something I do have to say. It is very relieving to me and comforting to me to know that when altcoins are getting wrecked, when altcoins are literally going to zero, where do people put their money? They put it into Bitcoin, right? Isn't this funny? This is Bitcoin dominance. When we're seeing assets like, sadly, AVAX literally taking out the bear market bottom. I mean, literally. These wicks wreck people on 2x leverage. Where do people put their money? They put it into Bitcoin. That is, you know, that does show you that people know, all right? People know what the deal is with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the place to be putting your dang money when you're not speculating, right? When you're not speculating on these stupid assets, Bitcoin is the place to put your money. So anyway, we broke down from that channel, formed another channel, broke down. We're starting to get another little purple candle here. Let's go to our daily. Daily's giving us another trigger wave here, which could give us a little bit move to the downside. So right now we're seeing money come into the total crypto market cap, and yet that money is leaving Bitcoin. And if we take a look at the altcoin market here, excluding Bitcoin, we can see that, you know, getting a little bounce. Now on the day, doesn't really look the best. It looks about the same as Bitcoin. But overall, we are seeing the altcoins outperform Bitcoin so far this week since December 1st, since the bounce. All right, that is what we want to see. We want to see Bitcoin dominance come down. We want to see altcoin dominance come up. We also want to keep an eye on USDT dominance, because that is going to tell us, is money going into stablecoins or leaving stablecoins. Today, a little bit of money coming into stables here. But in general, it's good to remember the fact that we are at major resistance on USDT dominance, which means stablecoin dominance is expecting to come down. We basically have the inversion of what we have on the Bitcoin chart, right? Stablecoin is about to print a big red dot on the weekly, which we need to expect would give us at least some downside here. This is going to open the door for the next few weeks to be bearish for USDT dominance, which means money in the crypto total market cap is going to be going other places, right? Either Bitcoin or altcoins. And so this is why I say it's very possible, given the current market conditions and some of the signs we're seeing on the charts now, for us to see some relief in December. The question is, how much relief do we get? You know, remember, Bitcoin, I'd say, is the barometer. Right now, the next major target, which I do fully expect to hit on Bitcoin, is going to be $96,000 POC. If we reclaim the $96,000 POC on Bitcoin and we start heading towards 107,000, I think we could see some major pumpage on some of these alts, right? Some major alt pumpagio. All right, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Stavko. Look what happened to ETHUSD back then. I'm not sure what you're referring to, bro. I'm sorry. Is it performing similarly to 2017? Meaning it might hit all-time high? Yeah, I just said that ETH is looking like she wants to hit an all-time high. All right. So, yep, I do think that ETH looks like she does want to hit an all-time high. And I do not think Bitcoin needs to do so. I think as long as Bitcoin, here's what we need to see for ETH to hit an all-time high. We need to see Bitcoin holding, ideally, ideally Bitcoin needs to be holding $90,000 and ranging between like 90,000 and 96, 97, right? We need to see money continuing to flow in to crypto, total crypto market cap, money coming in, ETF inflows, and then we need to see, you know, that money moving over into altcoins. We have the bottomed out, you know, pretty much all these assets are bottomed out weekly oscillators. Now, if Bitcoin can reclaim 96K, right, and start trading in this zone here, that's where I think we'll really see some crazy gains on ETH. If Bitcoin can't come above 96, I think ETH could easily get to 4,000. But if we reclaim 96, I think ETH could squeeze all of that, hit a new all-time high. All right. Let's take a look at some other things here. Cardano. Again, look, this is definitely not financial advice, but my point with this whole thing here about Cardano is this, right? When you have assets like ETH, when you have assets like Cardano, they are bullish assets. All right, in general, I'm bullish on Cardano. If one were to buy Cardano earlier this week, or even now, even if Cardano went literally back to 17 cents, you still have a 10 times more upside potential than downside potential. That's what I'm highlighting here with this chart with some of these assets, right? Like, some of these assets right now are good buys, like, objectively. Like, if you have done your fundamental research on Cardano, you understand what you're buying, you understand why it's a good asset to hold. We are at support, man. I mean, we are at support. This has been support since 2022. And even if, God forbid, we come down and take out the previous bear market lows, there's still 10 times more upside than downside right now on Cardano, all right? Also, objectively speaking, we are going to be confirming soon a hidden bullish divergence on Cardano as we are making a higher low from the last major low. Actually, let's see this. Yeah, I mean, you might even be able to make the case that this is a hidden bullish divergence even from this low here, right? You might even be able to make that case. I might be fudging that a little bit to try and make it look better than it is. Let's actually get zoomed in here and see, is this actually a... Yeah, it actually is a potential hidden bullish divergence right here on the weekly, guys. I mean, yeah, we could see some pretty big gains here. Cardano actually looks really nice on the USDT chart with that weekly wave there. If we go to the 4-day, we have also just confirmed some hidden bullish divergence. Money flow getting thicker at support, okay? Again, I'm not calling for a major bull market right now, guys. I think we're going to head into some sideways and down 2026. But what I am saying is, if Bitcoin holds support, these altcoins could get some serious pumps within the next few weeks, month and a half, all right? That's all I'm saying. Definitely not saying it's guaranteed to happen, but the signs are really there right now. And let's look at the ADA Bitcoin chart. Okay, wow. So what do we have on the ADA Bitcoin chart? This is the weekly time frame. We have ourselves a bull div. We have some pretty nice bull div here on Bitcoin against Cardano. And again, the risk to reward here is pretty crazy. Honestly, the risk to reward is pretty crazy. And this whole descending channel looks also very squeezable as well. We have these series of, you know, the high, the lower high, and then pretty much all the way up. Coming down, bouncing from the value area low of the range right now. Pretty much, did we front run? We did front run. We wicked into it on October 10th. Yeah, I would say look at the bullish divergences here. Look at the weekly. Let's go to the 2 weekly. Look at the 2 weekly even. Look at even the monthly. Get some bull div here on a Cardano against Bitcoin here. It looks pretty nice. Now, I'm a big holder of Cardano. I'm a big holder of ETH. I am hoping for some pumps here, man. I am hoping for some of these pumps here. You know, I was really hoping for some big targets on these assets this cycle. And as I've said before, my plan has not changed since 2022. I mean, having gotten heavily positioned in the fall of 2022 in pretty much every asset that I thought was worth holding, I am still holding all of that. I have not sold any of it because my sell targets have not been hit, all right? So I'm not going to sell Cardano until $5, all right? I said I'm not going to buy Bitcoin until 70K. I'm not going to sell Cardano until $5. That's my first major sell target for Cardano. And if I have to wait 25 years, I have to wait 25 years. If Cardano pulls a silver on me, and this is 1980, and then in 2020, well, in this case, it is 2025. So in 2065, if we're back at $3, I'm still not going to sell. Even if Cardano goes all the way down and then, you know, forms this giant cup and handle, and I'm still just going to hodl out until $5, you know, even if I'm an old man. I don't think that's going to happen, though. But it is looking pretty nice here. On the monthly, on the 2 week, on the weekly. I think when we confirm that weekly green dot across the board here, we're going to see some upside. We are going to see some upside for a lot of assets here. You know, bull div only plays out if that money flow has good confluence. Yeah, and honestly, look at the money flow on Cardano as well. I mean, look at the weekly here, right? Money flow getting higher, you know? On the 4-day, you know, look at the money flow. It is coming up, right? We do have some bullish money flow div here. But yeah, that money flow div, that's where it's at. Shout out to Hopium Copium. Can we look at actual AVAX? Yeah, let's look at actual AVAX quickly. I hope you feel the same about AVAX. Well, I do hold a lot of AVAX, and you know, I do think it is sad that AVAX took the low like that. But here's the thing, even now, AVAX, this is the USDT pair. Assuming we come back to the high that we had in 2021, even if AVAX goes to, actually, let's do a crazy thought experiment here. Even if AVAX goes down to literally zero, let's pull it to zero. All right, it goes to $0. Now, this is based on risk to reward, okay? But if AVAX goes to $0, all right, it's still, we refresh this screen here. You know, AVAX going to zero, literally zero. This is our risk to reward, right? If we're gonna buy now, saying it might go to zero, there's still 9 times more potential upside than downside, even if AVAX goes to zero. I do think, objectively speaking, AVAX is a good project. This is one of the ones that I have put my, I have a pretty big position on spot, right? And so yeah, same deal. I'm hodling out. Okay, I'm hodling out. When did I really start to accumulate everything? Was in November of 2022, which was right around here. So we're pretty much at my entry now. Okay, we're pretty much at my entry right now. So it's as if I'm buying now. I'm definitely not going to sell here. But when we look at this, I mean, this is the weekly time frame. We are seeing like bullishness, really. Look at this, right? This whole way down, we're seeing bullish divergence on the weekly. The 2-week is looking hairy. But again, I do think we could see some nice relief on this. And look, if we're gonna break this trend line, right, we could easily come up to a $66 AVAX, which I think even in the event of like a bear market, this is just coming back up to the highs that we made back in April, right? Even if 2026 is bearish, think about it. I think for a lot of these altcoins, it's kind of irrelevant. We've already, within the bull market, just formed a little sideways range here. So what's to say within the bear market we can't continue on, and then maybe eventually we do something like this by the time we come to the fall of November 2026, you know? So yeah, I'm bullish on AVAX. I would never sell here. Let's check it against the Bitcoin. It's looking pretty good on against the Bitcoin as well. The 2-week has a bull div. The weekly has nice money flow. I feel like a lot of these assets are set up for some big pumps, especially if Bitcoin is going to reclaim 96,000. I'm still going to hold to my macro bearish based on the 2-month, however. I hold 6 figures of AVAX, my 3rd biggest bag, but currently down 20%. So much actual usage and good news for chain. Yeah, it's a solid project. I don't think it's, I think it's a good project. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, but I do think it's a good project to invest in. Like, if you're going to invest in something that's not Bitcoin. Shout out to my man, Dr. Official 527 says, can you check VeChain? It died. Yeah, let's check VeChain. I've historically been a VeChain holder myself. Yeah, I was looking for basically VeChain to get a move, and the reason why I was looking for that move is because we had some nice bullish divergence here, and then we had reclaimed the point of control, and we were back testing the point of control? Obviously, big breakdown, right? So this was my risk to reward for holding VeChain back in August. Obviously, if you had bought in August, we did take the lows and we're still below the lows. Let's pull this off log for a second here, and let's just take a look at some risk to reward basic stuff here. All right, so risk to reward on VeChain, assuming we take the low from 2020, the COVID dump, we're still looking potentially at a 23-to-1 risk to reward ratio, right? It looks weird on log scale, but when we put it back to normal scale, you know, this is what we see here. What else do we see? We see an extremely oversold weekly momentum wave, the likes of which we have not seen before, at least not on Binance. Let's go to the monthly. I mean, this is pretty insane on the monthly as well. I mean, it's very, very oversold. So here's the deal with VeChain. I don't know. Like, is it a good idea to have like decentralized supply chain? Yeah. Right? Would that be a big help like in the real world? I'd say absolutely. Absolutely would be a big help in the real world if we ended up with a decentralized supply chain, right? Especially, you know, during the vid and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of hype around VeChain for that reason. Is it going to actually become like a reality? I don't know. It definitely is a good use case though. So I would say with VeChain, like, do your research and follow your convictions with it. Objectively speaking though, the risk to reward is still pretty good. You know, it really just comes down to, is this something people are going to actually widely adopt, yes or no, right? And I'd say with VeChain, it's kind of like a coin flip right now. I mean, there's definitely a big push away from decentralization in the crypto space in general, right? I mean, back in the day, decentralization and privacy was like the big deal about crypto, but to nowadays, everyone celebrates, you know, the fact that like crypto has been co-opted by institutions and it's no longer as private or as decentralized as we're seeing big money really make big investments, right? So is our people, right? This really depends on what people value. Are people going to value decentralized supply chain? It's hard to say. A lot of people like centralization because it makes them feel safe, you know? So it's hard to say. But objectively speaking, we do have some bullish signs here. Let's check out VeChain against the Bitcoin. Now, I like VeChain for what it is. I mean, I'm all about like decentralization myself. But so the Bitcoin chart obviously looks insanely bullish, right? I mean, this is insanely bullish here. Whenever you see something like this massive falling wedge, this is VeChain performing against Bitcoin since 2022, the last bull market. I mean, we really haven't seen VeChain go crazy since last bull market, man. That is wild. But yeah, this looks extremely squeezable as well. To potentially, if the target of our wedge, I would consider the target of the wedge to be a 1,000% move to the upside. If you're looking at VeChain versus Bitcoin, like if you're looking to make some Bitcoin, this is a good. Let me be very clear here. We're speculating on VeChain because we're not. I'm personally not like super bullish on VeChain to say, yeah, this is gonna be the next big thing. But if for some reason VeChain does happen to pop off, it has the potential to outperform Bitcoin like crazy by at least 1,000% to the target of the wedge, which means, you know, we have to weigh all these things when we're thinking about like investing and how we're going to invest our money. If you know that you could put a little bit of Bitcoin into VeChain and have the potential of either losing a little bit of Bitcoin or, you know, 10xing it, you know, that might be something you want to consider, right? Money flow coming out on the monthly, so that's not the most bullish thing. Money flow coming out on the weekly, that's also not the most bullish thing. I'd say VeChain risk to reward is great. If you have conviction on it and you believe it's going to perform well, the chart looks great. The chart does look great, honestly. Do I hold any Solana? Yes, I do hold Solana. Should we take a look at Solana? What about ETH? We already took a look at ETH and how ETH is looking like she wants to pop into a new ATH. Yeah, I did pee in the bottle, yep. How'd you know that? Yeah, peed in the bottle. Yeah, we'll take a look at Sol. We'll take a look at Doge as well. All right. Let's take a look at Sol. Let's kind of clear everything off of Sol here. So look, here's the deal. I'd say Sol had this historic support from this area here. All right. We took the liquidity. We came back into the range. We had a really nice looking higher highs, series of higher highs, higher lows. But then we failed to really break out. Right now, Sol is back down to the bottom of the range, the historic support. So if this is the range we're dealing with, we are at support. If this is the range we are dealing with right now, the risk to reward within this specific range is going to be, assuming we hit a new all-time high, not quite a 3-to-1 risk reward. All right, assuming we see Sol make new all-time highs, let's say we come up to a $350 Solana. That is almost a 4-to-1 risk reward ratio if we are looking at this range right here. All right, not the worst. But this, we're really going to need more pumpage for Sol to be kind of worth it at this place. Now, if we take a look at the weekly, we don't have any hidden bullish divergences here. All right. I wish we did, but we don't. Let's go to our 4-day. We have confirmed on the 4-day a hidden bullish divergence. All right, so the 4-day looks more bullish than the weekly here. We have a bull div, and now we have a hidden bull div already confirmed on the 4-day here. And so I have to say with Solana, the chart looks a little bit less convincing than some others. But there are some good things here. The good thing is this. We're going to see holding, if we are going to see Bitcoin holding the $92,000 level. And yeah, shout out to this guy as well. Like, please guys, if I'm not telling anybody to buy anything, please. I'm just saying it looks like short term we could have some pumps on alts. All right, short term we could have some upside potential on alts. All right, so I am personally not buying any altcoins or Bitcoins in this market right now. The only thing I'm going to do is sell altcoins if they hit some crazy targets that potentially we might hit. I am not going to buy any altcoin here, and I'm not buying any Bitcoin here either. All right. So what we're doing right now is we are looking at the charts. We're saying we have the ingredients for some altcoin gains. Some altcoins look like they could hit new all-time highs, others not so much. But based on the selling exhaustion that we've seen on Bitcoin, based on the ETF inflows we've been seeing here, which is forming some bullish div, and based on the fact that Bitcoin is looking like she wants to get a relief rally up to backtest 107,000 potentially. First, we have to get through 96. It is setting the stage for money to then flow into altcoins for a nice rally on some of the alts. All right. And so this information is not for you to buy or do anything. All right. If you're a trader, this information might be used. You say, you know what? I'm a trader myself. I hear what Jay Casper's saying here. I agree with him. So I'm going to look for, potential long position on leverage, right? I'm not going to buy here and hold a bag in the bear market. But if I see a good opportunity to long on futures or whatever, leverage, and again, make sure you know how to trade with leverage. Leverage does not mean more risk, guys. Leverage does not mean more risk. Look, all these things I'm saying now. Head on over. If you're new to these markets and you're not a good trader and you're not a good investor, head on over to the Jason Casper YouTube channel. All right. Go to playlists and go to the Jason Casper free trading course. All right. And check out the 18-part trading course we have here. All right, this will let you know exactly like the way to approach this market. Because here's the thing. If you don't know what you're doing in a market, it's irrelevant whether things are pumping or dumping. You're still going to lose money, all right? But yeah, so I'd say if all those other things start to play out like we've been talking about this whole time, so also, especially if we can reclaim the POC at 143, has the potential to squeeze all these series of disgusting lower highs, right? So you can easily see now the flip of this is going to put us into the position where we actually do squeeze, potentially coming up to, I'd say the first place would be 193. If we can reclaim the POC, the value area high of 193 of the range, then yeah, we could come back up to 267. Would Sol have enough power to reach 350? I don't know. Let's take a look at Sol versus the Bitcoin. Well, what do we have here? We do have some bullish divergence and a potential trigger wave forming. We do have a bullish div right here, a change of market structure, a back test, right? So we've got our support coming all the way back to November 2023, right? You see that? This was our support. We have come down to the support. We've got a bullish divergence, a change of market structure, meaning the lower highs, we've made a higher high, now come back and make a higher low, bouncing from the historic support that we had here in 2023. We formed a bull div and now a potential trigger on the weekly. The 4-day has confirmed trigger wave here after confirming bullish divergence. All right. So it does look kind of good. Doesn't look as good as some others, but if we're going to see this scenario, then obviously Sol will have some gains as well, right? Sol's not just going to do nothing while ETH is pumping, and you know, they're all going to move together. All right, major shout out to our man FOMOG. Can you look at the Doge Bitcoin pair? Yeah, let's take a look at the Doge Bitcoin pair. Well, it's at support. I mean, it is at like super support here. We have not seen Doge really outperform Bitcoin much since 2024. I would say also it is quite interesting that we are seeing this in a large, resistance area like this. Let's take it off log. I mean, it definitely looks like bullish accumulation, honestly. We are seeing maybe some bull div. It's hard to really say. Doge is one of those coins, honestly, where it's not giving very convincing signals on the chart. And I actually do hold quite a bit of Doge here. The one thing I give to Doge is the potential of a giant cup and handle against the USDT pair. I thought we were going to break out of this in September. Obviously, we haven't. All right. I thought we were going to break out of it in September. Obviously, we have not. Potential bull div here if we include the wick. If we don't include the wick, we're basically just trading the range. It's really hard for me to say anything about Dogecoin. I want it to pump. I feel like it can pump. But when I look at the chart, it doesn't get me super excited. The Bitcoin Doge chart doesn't get me excited. The USDT chart doesn't get me excited either. The only thing I could say is historically it's pumped, so why not pump again? That's the only thing I can really say about it. I mean, you know, there's obviously two ways to look at it. There's the people that say we already had our alt season in 2024 when Trump won. I mean, from the time Trump won, we are down potentially 81% if we include the wick. If we don't include the wick, we're down 73%. That's pretty bear markety, honestly. Let's pull this off log scale again. Let's just take a look at some risk to reward ratios. Like, the all-time high is 73 cents. I don't think it's crazy to see Dogecoin hit $1. All right. So if we do hit $1, you know, even if Doge goes to 0, that's still 5 times more risk than reward. If we don't lose the 2022 bear market bottom, that's 8 times risk to reward. You know, it's one of those assets where the risk to reward is there. But it's like, I don't know. I'm holding Doge because the main reason I have Doge is honestly because I was so back in these days, guys, like in the 2021 days, I was just so upset that I didn't have any Doge that I have Doge now. You know, I figured I'm not gonna miss out now. But typically, you know, obviously the gain of 60,000% is not gonna happen again. Not gonna happen again. All right. But assuming Doge does hit $1, you know, we might see from here 600%, which is still nice, right? Still nice. All right. Sold all the SOL I had actually above 260, but got back into the lows. Will the rider get stopped out? Oh, okay. So you've got a stop loss set there. Thank you so much for the super chat. Is user a duck? And yeah, God bless you. All right, Funi Colors is super bullish. What's the egg code for this stream? Yeah, let's see if we have an egg code for this stream. See if we got an egg code. Yeah, it's called Bitcoin, all right? The egg code is Bitcoin. I'm gonna post it in the chat, in the YouTube chat, all right, guys? The egg code is Bitcoin. Boom, 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 boom. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Get some eggs, guys. Get some good old eggs. Los huevos. Los huevos. Bitcoin 15-minute bull live. Let's take a look at it. We haven't looked at Bitcoin this whole stream. $15-minute bull live, you say? Yeah, money flow doesn't look the best though. But yeah, we definitely got a CDW locally. We didn't take out all the lows here. It would be nice. Let's check out our 12-minute looks good. 12-minute looks good. Yeah, we're really fighting right now. I mean, really, you can just see the support resistance flip is right here, right? This blue line, 92.3. That's gonna be it, you know. We already did take a look at ADA. We took a look at ADA, Cardano. All right, guys, I have to head out because we have been live for an hour. And I have things I need to take care of right now. There's like 7 feet of snow outside. God bless you guys in the name of Jesus, Yeshua, the Messiah. And Lord willing, I will see you guys tomorrow. Make sure to like, subscribe, click the bell. Peace.